Hey everybody, welcome to this week's CanJS Community Hangout. We took off last week and I think the week before that for Thanksgiving, so it's first time back in a little while. To make it worth your while, Mihael has promised to give the best presentation ever. So thank you, Mihael.
You're welcome.
Today, Mihael, from what he was telling me, he's going to show us a Gmail clone, more or less, that is going to really help you guys if you're from any other frameworks other than CanJS, or if you've used just use other frameworks, or you're new to CanJS. His walkthrough of the application should really help you kind of grasp onto how to best use CanJS and how to build a good application. And Mihael, I think I heard you said you actually use this for like a conference that you put on
Yeah,
recently.
so we had a conference in Croatia with like 800 people, and did the CanJS workshop there, which was aimed at people that do know front-end development, do know some MVC principles, but are not proficient in CanJS. So what I focus on this application is like showing the difference, showing the CanJS way.
What was the conference?
It was the webcam conference. Bitovi sponsored it second year in a row.
Awesome.
It was really great. We had Bitovi had 3 speakers, Nikica, Veljko, and Mihael, and me doing a workshop. So I think we had the most speakers from all companies in the conference. So
Nice.
it was really cool, yeah.
So in a way, we kind of get a sneak peek as to if we were to actually been at the conference. So.
Yeah.
On
So
the best presentation ever, Mihael. Thank you very much.
let me share my screen first. So, as I said, the idea was to make an application for people that are not familiar with CanJS but are familiar with MVC frameworks or MVVM. So I wanted to do something that was not conceptually too far from something that people know, and it's something that we use every day. It's in front of our eyes. We know how it works. So I thought it would be really interesting to see how to model it in a CanJS way. So it's not. It has like most parts that you would expect from a mail client, albeit it's simple. So it has a list of emails. Clicking on an email will show a detail panel that you can close. You can filter emails, so you can load only important emails or sent emails. And there's also this tiny new message window. But it's interesting that this same component that's used here for composing a new message is also used here for replying to a message. So it also has some reusability baked in, but what I was focusing most on was routing and application state. So most frameworks do the routing first principle, which is basically like you define how your routes look, and then you model your application around it. While being serious about your application URLs is fine, I don't think it's good to concentrate on how your routes look. And this is why I really like how CanJS approaches this problem, where basically you model your application an app state object, and then you have 2 representations of that app state. One is the DOM or the screen, and the other one is the route. So you can always approach it like DOM and routing should represent the same thing.
That's an excellent explanation of the concept.
Yeah. That's I figure out that it really gets the message across, because it's not like the highest level object in the application. So CanJS has a really excellent plugin, which is a CanMap define plugin. That's really helpful for this. And when I started working on this application, what I started with is defining the app state. So CanRoute can use either its own internal map to represent the route information, or you can set some other route. I think that we covered this a few times in these Hangouts. So if we define, we can use this ability to define an object that will hold the whole application, basically everything in it. So we have a list. So which list are we on? Default value is inbox. We have messages, and since we are reading this .enter list, that means that whenever this changes, we will load the new messages. We have one message. This function is a bit tricky because the aim is here to make it work both when you click on it and when you refresh it. So sometimes you will load both right and left panel parallel.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tricky.
Mihael, explain what you mean there about what this get is. I think what you're saying is that this becomes like a compute, right?
Yes. So
just for people that don't understand.
Yeah. So what this gives you is the ability to define how should this attribute behave when you read it. Let's put it like that. So in CanJS, unlike Ember, whenever you use this.enter inside of some function, if that function is bound inside the view somewhere, it will be automatically recomputed whenever you change any of enters that was read inside the function. So whenever messages attribute or message ID attribute is changed, everything here will be reloaded. It will run again and do the whole branching and everything. So this is really nice because it can represent how your data should look, and you don't have to care about updating anything. You just adjust some attributes, and the other attributes will be recomputed. It's really cool. One of the tricky parts here is this compose message window, because if you are bound to how the route looks, you cannot really put this anywhere because its hierarchy is completely independent from the rest of the application. So you have here list of like message groups, then you have list of messages, and then you have a message. That's a very clear hierarchy. But this new message window is like floating here. It's completely independent, and it should persist its position. So it's nice that we can just represent as an attribute here in the URL. Another nice thing about CanJS routing is that it doesn't care how the routes look. So I can just uncomment this route patterns, and now instead of here we have a query string routing, and if we refresh the page now, we have nice routing here, so nice routes. Because there is no mention of compose message open attribute in any of routes here, route patterns, it will stay serialized just as a query string param, which is really nice, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. So most of the stuff is handled here in this app state object, and then I pass it down in the view. Let's open the view, which just checks. Yeah, so yeah, we have like when you create a message, so we have here message sent. That's also nice. So here, whenever message created is set, if its value is true, we also have another side effect. So it will set it to false after 1 second. So you can use these setters and getters here to get nice rich behavior that's appropriate for your application. So this gives you ability to keep your views really clean. So here we just check if message.created on state exists, and if it does, we show the message sent message. Otherwise, so I think I'm using Flexbox here. So just by no, sorry, I'm not using Flexbox. So we check if there is like message ID present in the state, and if it is, we will show this list of messages in 5 columns width, otherwise it will take the 10 columns width. And if state message ID exists, we will show the whole column here and use some other components to show it. I can walk you through components now. So the first one is the list. It shows the list of messages. It's very, very simple. It just has one helper to know if this email that you clicked, if some email in the list is the one that you clicked on. So this allows telling here. Other than that, it just iterates through the messages and shows them. And if the list is pending, it shows the loading message. So very simple component, very nice. And we have the other case here when messages are loaded, but it's empty. Like now we have a sent message. Now in sent messages we have the no items notice. So we have a message form and reply message. These are not named appropriately, but compose, sorry. So compose and reply message are used as wrappers around the message form component. The message form component has the whole meat of sending message and taking care of showing the form and showing the errors and everything. So it will show, like, fill in the where's error. But it's wrapped with two different components. One is the compose component, that's here, which takes care of implementing the showing and hiding. And if it's shown, it uses the message form component here to show the message. And the other case is the reply message. This one just uses the message form directly in the view, and it has some behavior because we want to, like, set the subject to parent header subject. So it has some extra behavior, but for representation, just use the message form component, which is really nice because you can reuse a lot of code and use the parent component to provide some extra behavior. So yeah, that's the components. And the other thing that's really nice is use of fixtures, which enabled all of us to work on this application without the server side. I did use my appetizer plugin here because it enabled me to, like, generate a bunch of these emails. So this is something that sits on top of CanFixture and generates objects based on JSON schema. But it's nice because I can use stuff like Faker library, which has, like, image avatars and sentences and stuff like that, so you get nice rich generators for fake data. Yeah, so that's basic architecture of the app. It's really simple. Components are separated one between themselves. They don't know anything about them, about their neighbors or application state, and the whole logic is just implemented in, like, that application state object. So, do you guys have any questions? Anything that I didn't really cover well? Or
No, I think this is awesome. This is not, not a trivial application by any means. I was just kind of curious, like, kind of developing this. Was there anything that you found, like, or anything that you were thinking, like, could make it easier to write this type of application that we currently don't have in CanJS?
yes. So the one thing that's kind of tricky is this behavior here. So
okay, what are you doing here?
yeah, I'll explain now. So there is a case where we have a list of messages, and a message ID gets set, and we just find that message in the list of messages and return it. That's the happy path. But
Okay.
the other is where we have to call message find one. So that's what happens when you have the panel open and you refresh. You don't want to don't want to wait for this to load, then check if that message exists, and then try to load it again, because what might happen is maybe this message was tagged important, and then you on the other computer you remove the important label, and then you refresh, and this message here won't be present in this list here anymore. So the idea was I wanted to have like a behavior where it knows how to load the message. So I have to create manual. I have to compute. Basically, what we need is something like can list promise, but just for
yeah. So I don't know if you've ever tried this, but I've done this a couple of times where you kind of do the hacky thing, and that is you have a property that is a list, and then you can do that, and then you have another property which just gets the first item out of your list. So it's kind of a hacky workaround for the time being that makes that possible.
So what I do here is I have a compute, and then there's like special properties that I'm checking in the.
So you just said, I've also some people will do it inside a value. Is they'll like return like an initial value and then populate it later.
There are techy ways around it, but I would like.
Yeah, it's. Every time I've seen that happen, there's been some scenario that kind of breaks it. So hopefully we'll have async getters soon.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I missed, but the other things were really nice. You guys have any other questions?
I would just add that, like Matt said, this isn't like a trivial application, but just looking over on your on the left bar, we can actually see the whole application. It actually looks, once you've already done all the hard work, you look at that application, and I don't think almost any developer could jump in pretty quickly and know how to continue developing on it. It just looks really organized. It looks very simple the way everything, like you mentioned, like Batovi always says, is really broken off into small components that are completely housed in themselves. Just it looks really nice. So
it's really nice when you can model like your whole application in one object and then just represent this stuff in components. That's really, really nice pattern.
Yeah, I have some questions about Oh, go ahead.
Can we look at the routing code again, like how it's set up? I think that's always a problem when it gets we actually ran into something today when it gets more complex. Well, this actually. So that's all you needed for. Yeah. How is it wired up? Oh, you map it to the app state. Okay.
Yeah.
I found it kind of annoying that you always have to if you don't want it be serialized in the route, you have to tell it to not serialize it.
Yeah, maybe serialized could be false by default.
That would actually be a good idea. Yeah, I like that. So that was the part that I found a little annoying with the define and map plugin, mapping them together. But if you set serialized to false by default, you can actually explicitly say, okay, put this one in the route and this one don't.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, but generally speaking, you probably shouldn't have a lot of stuff on your app state that is not part of the route, because then you have state that's not reproducible. You know what I mean?
Well, I think what I tend to do lately is to put as much data loading as possible into the state too. Component gets its data passed in, it doesn't know how to load data. I found that it makes them more usable. So,
yeah, I've run into situations where you have a component and you have it do its own loading, and then later you want to have it not do its own loading, and that becomes tricky to kind of pull that out.
So one thing that we should probably think of is how to make it easy to have sub-objects that are smaller parts of app state. If you have different pages, it can get nicely serialized, but that would probably imply some kind of default routing scheme or something. That's a hard problem to solve. But I really like that I can just like comment out the route definitions or completely change them in the end of the application, like when I know what I will need and then have them work the same, instead of constraining myself with how I architect the routing when I start to work on applications. So while it might be a bit confusing for beginners, I think that this routing idea is really excellent for like, scalable applications.
Yeah. Maybe another hangout we can have you talk more about Appetizer and how that integrates with CanFixture. I think that stuff's really cool, but
Yeah,
probably
sure.
probably not the time.
Yeah, it's I can tell you in like 2 minutes.
Nah,
So
well, go ahead.
yeah, so it basically just takes a schema and it knows how to generate each of these types. You can also pass functions that will generate it like in the store. So you have complete control, but it's declarative. It's not you don't have to like write your own generator functions and take care of stores and everything. So it solves it. Like CanFixture is pretty low level in that in its approach, and this is a bit more high level, nicer API. It's not as flexible, but I mean it is. But you can write your own code again. So that's about it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I guess it was the right time to go over it. That was a pretty good quick summary, though. So then, Matt or David, do you have any other questions?
Yeah.
Cool. Then, Mihael, I have to say that actually was a really good presentation. I think one of the better ones for people. They're just trying to wrap their heads around CanJS in general. So
Thank you.
definitely a great one for us to keep recorded for those people watching YouTube. So awesome. Thank you very much, Bud. And with that, Alexa's going to be presenting next week, and I'm going to keep the topic secret until Monday. But everybody have a great weekend, and I will see you guys later.
Okay, bye.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Matt. Thanks, David. Bye.